Hello, my soccer universe. My name is Roland and this is Football Talk, and let's recap the World Cup qualifying action from Thursday evening. What an enjoyable evening that was. I truly enjoyed that one, and yes, I can say that because the team that I care most about in all these qualifiers got the win. I don't want to say it was a good win for Italy, but it was the expected win for Italy. But it's also in that game where there's also the other storyline in there, that if you were watching from the British Isles, this was not your evening at all. All three British Isles teams, I don't want to call Ireland a British team, but from the islands up there, all teams got eliminated. Let's be honest, I think the one that is probably the biggest upset was Wales being ousted on penalties, and Ireland also were ousted on penalties, even though it looked really good for them for a while. However, the Czechs came roaring back. We also had a major upset in Bratislava. I didn't say I want to call it, but I could see it potentially coming because this Kosovo team is one not to be overlooked. And then we also had, some interesting games. The Scandinavian teams, though, they left no doubt. And I'm wearing Sweden, even though they were wearing blue. I need a blue Sweden jersey. To be honest, I don't have one. But Sweden very convincingly over Ukraine, and they are making good now on a really bad qualifying campaign under Graham Potter. The one thing that this proves to me is that, Sweden are only in there because they actually did well in the Nations League. Otherwise, Sweden would not be in there at all. And yes, they have some talented strikers up front, but given how they played, they probably would not have deserved to be in these playoffs. But they had to fall back through the Nations League. And that is something not to be discounted. And now they have home field advantage to make it all the way to the United States. Well, last time the tournament was in the United States, Sweden actually ended up finishing in third place. Italy made it all the way to the final. Getting way too ahead of ourselves. I don't think that any of these teams will in any way mimic the heroics from 1994. Because let's face it, the squads for both of these teams, while there are good players in there, are not up there with the other top squads. How I want to do this in there is I want to go path by path. I think is probably the best way to do it. And then we also look a little bit at the Interconfederation playoff, where I only saw results. Unfortunately, the one team that I wanted to move on did not make it, but we'll talk about that. But let's get started in Bergamo. Well, in the end, it will go down as a relatively easy win for the Azzurri, but there were nerves. There were definitely nerves. There was first all the pathos and drama during the national anthem, and can I just say, I watched the Winter Olympics and never was the Italian national anthem, which to me is the best in the entire world. Never was it played with as much fervor as it is when the Italian national team is playing. So this actually lifted everyone up. And then the game let everyone down. Because what did Northern Ireland do? Well, of course, the thing that they had to do, they are sitting back, Italy come, let's break us down. And Italy had trouble with that one. Yes, if you look at it, finally they dominated that game, but they barely created any chance. I think there was a DiMarco shot in the first half. Retegui was kind of anonymous. But when you see the lineup, yes, I was surprised that Politano was, for instance, playing. But when I see that lineup, that's not too bad. This is a lineup of a team that should play at the World Cup. I gotta be honest, especially when I look at that midfield. And it's the midfield player, I would argue best player for Italy at the moment, and I'm including here the goalie Donnarumma, Sandro Tonali, who, when the time was there, stepped up and he yanked one in the 56th minute, and Italy were off and running. I have to say, when that was going in, I usually watch this chill, but here I jumped up, yeah, and high-fived with my daughter, who was about to go to bed, and I was really happy because I knew that was enough. Northern Ireland is not gonna score, although, you never should tempt fate, but Northern Ireland was not gonna score. Italy needed to get that goal, and that will be the win. And so it turned out to be, and Tonali assisted Moise Kean, who I think tried even bicycle kick before that. He was actually quite a live wire there, especially when then Esposito came on. That worked a little bit better up front. Moise Kean making it 2-0, and Italy through to the final. And then they were waiting where they will have to play that final, because the game between Wales and Bosnia, where I know how Bosnia have been playing in this World Cup qualifying. They actually have got some really good players. I still expect it. And maybe it's because I didn't watch Wales all that much. I didn't expect them to really give Wales as much counter as they did. Yes, Wales were probably the better team in the 90 minutes. They twice hit the woodwork. They had the best chance in the first half. They took the lead through a David James shot that was a little bit erring in a way, but the goalie Vasil didn't look good on that one. They also hit the crossbar another time. But the longer the game went on, especially when Alay Begovic from Salzburg came on, and he is probably the most talented player in the Austrian Bundesliga, I would even argue, then everything started to change. He also brought in on Tabakovic in the 78th minute, Sergei Barbares that is, and suddenly Bosnia got the upper hand. I mean, immediately after the 1-0 for Wales, there was already a huge chance for Demirovic, where Dzeko assisted him, and it was such a great save by the Welsh goalie to keep the ball out. Real tension right there. And it's an Alay Begovic who assists Dzeko in the 86th minute for the equalizer. And at that moment, Bosnia had the upper hand, and I actually thought that Bosnia might turn this even on the head. Goes to overtime. In overtime, it was even-ish. I think still slight advantage Wales, especially later on. There was a weird bust-up on the line where first the Bosnian players, even Edin Dzeko, going into the coaching zone of Wales, and they were really discussing and gesticulating and all that kind of stuff. Quite emotional. And in the end, you could see then Craig Bellamy going to Coach Barbares and them hugging and embracing, and everything had calmed down. I found this really, really, really weird. To penalties goes, and Demirovic, who had already missed quite a few chances, not only the big one there with the great save, but he had a few chances, steps up and sees his first effort also saved, exactly in that goal where he missed that big chance. And Harry Wilson, then Harris, give Wales the 2-1 lead. Tabakovic did score. Bajic then gets the equalizer, and Brennan Johnson steps up and puts it over the bar. Hadžiahmetović gives Bosnia the lead for the first time, and then Nico Williams sees his effort save, and Alay Begovic sends Bosnia to the final, which they will play now at home against Italy. Now, ahead of that game, I would have loved for Italy to play in Bosnia. However, this will be an interesting game, because I see there's a whole lot of talent in this Bosnia side. And they have with Edin Dzeko somebody who just can step up even at 40 years of age. He's one of those ancient wonders, if you would like, in the current footballing world. He played in the 2014 World Cup, so I think he would love to go one more time over. And also the stadium is a rather tight one. Austria beat Bosnia there, but Bosnia gave Austria a whole lot of trouble in Vienna. Austria got the equalizer that managed them to qualify then. But I have to tell you, this will not be an easy matchup, but again, you have to look at the squad lists. This Italy team, while not a great Italy team, is pound for pound the better team. There's no doubt in my mind they have to get this done. And yes, it will be rockers, there will be a lot of stuff, but it would have been in Cardiff the same thing. It would have just been a different atmosphere in Cardiff than it is against Bosnia. This Bosnia team can be gotten at defensively, and you need to just take out the important players. So it also probably helps that Bosnia had to go all the way to penalties, even though there's now a long break. Both teams have to travel to Zenica. So I think when I look at it, everything, it should be fine, and Italy should qualify. And we'll probably see the first run out of the not so bad looking Italy away jersey from Adidas. Over in Path B, Ukraine in Valencia, and that was not Mestalla, this is the Levante Stadium, took on Sweden, and the stadium was all in yellow and blue, of course. but I had the feeling it was a home game for Sweden. I mean, no doubt about that. There are not that many Ukrainian fans traveling. There were Ukrainian fans, but there are not that many traveling to Valencia as there will be Swedes. So the home field advantage for Ukraine gone at that moment. And Viktor Gyökeres on the 6th minute gave Sweden the lead. I think it was not good defending by Ukraine. And right after the halftime, he adds a second one. Then Ukraine give a penalty away. 73rd minute, and Gyökeres completes his hat-trick. Even though goalie was there with his hands very late on, Panomarenko pulls one back, but it was never going to happen. Sweden eased their way into the playoff final at home soil. I cannot tell you what this just makes no sense. I mean, yes, they have not been great in qualifying, have lost games in qualifying on home soil. But still, that Sweden have a chance to qualify on home soil after this qualifying campaign is rather remarkable, because Ukraine have been a decent team in qualifying. And they will meet Poland. And Poland was not convincing. I would probably argue that Poland has the slightly better players, but this will be an even matchup. Poland was not convincing, and Albania were holding their own after Ronald Hoxha even gave them the 1-0 halftime lead. That Lewandowski, after the hour mark, managed to equalize, and then the game was kind of headed for overtime. It was a big chance for Albania, and right from that, Zielinski then takes a shot from far out and sends Poland through. I have to say Poland then played it rather routinely home. There was not much coming from Albania anymore, but this was a much tighter match than probably many in Poland would have expected. So congratulations for Albania. Unfortunately, you won't do much more, and Poland will have to take on Sweden, and I think the momentum is on the side of the Swedes. This Poland team was not convincing, I gotta say. Not convincing is also the key word, how I would describe Turkey taking on Romania the first half. This was a snooze fest. You know, the whole evening was a build. Every quarter it got better and better and better. And of course, one game really ignited it. Then we come to them. Then we had overtime and penalties. So it was really moving on very, very nicely. However, the first half between Turkey and Romania was just awful to watch. Too much at stake, I would say. With their literally probably first real chance, Turkey take the lead through Kardiolu after a nice Güler pass. The creativity in this Turkey squad is something else. It's just this has to be harnessed and put to test, and maybe this Turkey side can be as entertaining as it was at the last Euros. But as soon as that goal was there, then the game opened up a little bit. Romania had one big chance to equalize. They hit, I think, the post, but then could not get it in. But in the end, Romania had too little to offer to really threaten Turkey, and Turkey just wanted to get it over the line. That's pretty much how I would describe that game. Ends with a 1-0 win for Turkey, who knew they will have to travel, but where would they have to travel to? And it's a very similar story like with Italy. I mean, Turkey knew that once we are through, we are the probably second or third best team talent-wise. I probably would put them even over Italy at some point when I look at what Yildiz and Güler can offer up. But you know, they knew they will have to travel, and I guess like Italy, they were probably hoping to travel to an opponent that also needs to travel. And that's what they got. Slovakia took on Kosovo and lost 3-4. This was the most overlooked match, but easily the most entertaining. Driving rain in Bratislava. Slovakia twice took the lead, but this Kosovo side is rather sturdy. And this is what Franco Foda does so well. He worked not at all for Austria. The Austrian wants to play forward and front-footed and not hold back. He loves to take underdogs to shore things up and then use the danger man up front to overperform them. And that's exactly what he has done with Kosovo. And it just fits him perfectly. Yes, Valin in the 6th minute opened up the scoring for Slovakia. However, Hoxha in the 21st minute equalized. Haraslin, just before the half, gave Slovakia again the lead after he had a pretty big chance where he just hit the bar. However, it was then dead ball situations that really kept on hurting Slovakia. Aslani equalized again right after the half, and then a beautiful Muslia free kick, although the ball was not really jumping also has to be said, gives Kosovo the lead, and that completely deflated Slovakia, who conceded again in the 72nd minute through Haziri, and only very late on pull one back for Strelec. They cannot manage overtime. To be honest, a big disappointment for Slovakia, who started their campaign beating Germany, and now all the way down, and Kosovo will host Turkey. I said in my preview it's gonna be a hot game. I still think it will be a hot game. But to be honest, I mean, Turkey, like Italy, Turkey just need to get this one done. They are a better side, although it will probably be one of the best stories if Kosovo should qualify. And so we have one Albanian nation still in the running after Albania got eliminated. And, you know, there were certain commonalities. You know, I also mentioned all the British Isle teams. We had the 2 Albanian teams. We had the Scandinavian teams that are many through. And then we had, you know, Albanian and the Czechoslovak teams were all there. So there was a lot of connection right there. And add to it, Northern Macedonia, who went to Denmark, kept it tight. But as soon as Damsgaard opened the scoring right after the halftime break, was a save in front of Højlund, and then he just the ball is lying there. He put it in, no coming back. Isaacson scores then a double in the 58th and the 59th minute. Nørgaard adds a fourth, although this was a Olympic corner by Eriksson. He didn't really need to get on the on that one because it would have gone anyway. But Denmark in the end rather convincingly through, and they also will have to travel. So, I mean, really, the 3 best teams remaining all have to travel. And they have to travel to a team that can stay put. Because the Czechs managed the comeback. Ireland started with a lot of energy. They get a penalty that Parrott converts in the 19th minute, and then just 4 minutes later, it's a rather weird goal where in the end the ball bounces left and right, and via Kovac it goes into the net in the 23rd minute. However, then a really stupid penalty. Manning pulls, I think it was Schick, just for a fraction too long. It was absolutely not needed. But Schick converts this penalty and the Czechs are back in play. And then it was more holding on time for Ireland and the Czechs getting more and more desperate. And in the 86th minute, Krejci, he didn't even see it. It was with the back of his head, gets the equalizer. Overtime, it was just, defensive slugfest. It was not pretty at all, and it goes all the way to penalties, where, like Bosnia, who were the away team, Ireland go first. And unlike Bosnia, Ireland actually convert the first penalty through Troy Parrott. Now, also have to say, those 2 penalty shots happened concurrently, and I had them on screen, left, right. They were changing it up, and at first, I think it started first that it was the Ireland match that was first, and that's all, and then they went over to Wales. But then it turned around at one point. It was really interesting. But you could watch both penalty shootouts relatively well, even with double screening. Krejci equalizes, either puts Ireland ahead again. So it's Suchek converts, Brady converts, and then Kelleher saves the effort from Hittil, which was not very well taken. However, Kovac also steps up and saves from Azaz. Patrick Schick, like in the game, converts for the Czechs, so it's all level, and then Kovac steps up again, saves from Brown, and Clement can send the Czechs through to the final. And Denmark will be the favorite in that final. However, the Czechs can stay put in Prague, and I think this is a major advantage. Though you had to play overtime, Denmark could save themselves up. I still would think that Denmark will probably win this one. However, the Czechs at home are a much tougher position than the Czechs going away. And so these games will be played next Tuesday, all at the same time. Let's repeat them again. Bosnia against Italy, Sweden against Poland, Kosovo against Turkey, and the Czech Republic against Denmark. And to also put this in further perspective, the winner of Italy against Bosnia will go into Group B with Canada, Qatar and Switzerland. The winner of playoff path B will go, so this is Sweden or Poland, will go into a group with Netherlands, Japan and Tunisia. Will be a rather interesting group, I have to say, this one. The winner of path C will go into the group with the United States, Paraguay, Australia and Turkey or Kosovo. Interesting group for sure. And the winner of Part D will join Mexico, South Africa, and South Korea. So it's either Denmark or the Czech Republic there, or I should say the other way around, the Czech Republic or Denmark. So that puts it all nicely into perspective. Now I have to say, for the Interconfederation playoff, I only saw the results. I saw that Suriname had a 1-0 lead against Bolivia with Milaro Bajade from Lask actually starting. I really wanted them to do well because of him. It would be nice to have a few more Lask players in the States. They had the lead through Vergelderen right after having then Panagua and the Miguelito penalty. Sent Bolivia through to the final. Well, they will meet Iraq. And then Jamaica, only a 1-0. But you know, Jamaica have always had some trouble. Only 1-0 over New Caledonia. They will face the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Not too happy about the draw because of the one playoff path. I have the 2 jerseys. Of the other one, I don't have any jersey at all. But you know, so be it. I have decided I'm not gonna go all 48 in my collection for this World Cup because that would just be insanity. I have enough. And also to put that one in perspective, where will these winners go? The winner of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Jamaica will go with Portugal, Uzbekistan, and Colombia, presumably to make up the numbers, although I think that the DRC are a good team. And then the other one will go into the real group of death of this World Cup with France, Senegal, and Norway. So this will be joined by Iraq or Bolivia. Whoever will go in there will be the rank outsider. We know as much as well. And so by Wednesday morning, the field for the World Cup will be completed. We know all 48 teams that are at the World Cup. We have Tuesday evening in Europe. We have all the European matches. Then I think the DRC against Jamaica plays a little bit earlier. Iraq against Bolivia plays a little bit later. So Wednesday morning, I will record the next episode and I will react to where it will be. I'm not sure I will have a full World Cup prediction ready by that point. That might be then for the regular Friday slot if I manage to do so. I would love to do it, but I cannot promise. Let's put it that way. In any case, please let me know how you followed these games yesterday in the evening. Did it go well for you or not? Personally, I have to say Italy was for me the most important. The rest I was rather enjoying. Yes, I have also leanings for Sweden. But then on the other side, the Ukraine story would have been really nice to see them in the United States. And, you know, I was very torn for the Czechs and the Irish. I love the story of Ireland, the way they made it in there. I know Irish people, and so I was hoping for them, but then the Czech Republic is also relatively close, and having been to Prague as of late, and especially in that stadium, I was a little bit torn there too. So, you know, I wanted the better team to win. I'm not sure if the better team won. I think they were both not really convincing in the end because there was too much at stake. So, let me know your stories below. Give me a thumbs up or a subscription to this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscription for the channel, of course. Tell somebody else that my Soccer Universe Football Talk exists so we can grow this a little bit more. And yes, next Wednesday will probably be an evening publishing episode, given my schedule. Next Wednesday everything will be done and dusted, and then we'll know who will be in the World Cup and you will get an episode right then. I will talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye.